Good morning. Last day of the trading week. I think everybody likes that it's a short trading week this week to get
Yeah.
on to the next week.
Unless you bought options 2 or 3 weeks ago, not realizing that it was going to be a short week this week, and then it's not as much fun. But um, yeah, I'm happy for a long holiday too. I'm ready for a weekend, a long
Nice.
weekend. So today, what do you think, Matt? What do we have uh, in the markets
Well,
for the rest of the week?
yeah, for the SPY, ever since Monday, I just been talking about it's probably going to stay in this wide range from this fib
Yep.
to that
Yep.
fib. And if you go back to the Monday show, I said it's probably going to go retest this 523, and that's exactly what it did yesterday. So, despite any kind of tariff narrative or whatever, all markets like to do is follow TA. Right? They come up to resistance, they get rejected, they come back down to support, and they hold. So I'll be watching that 523.80 for today for SPY for a weekly candle close. And QQQ, same situation. It got rejected by the 1.272, and I said the whole week that it's probably going to go back and retest the moving average, right? That 100 week moving average, and it sure did. So the 440.46 was hit yesterday, and it held. So that I'll be looking for a weekly candle close above that 440 today, and IWM still in the same range as last week as well. Got rejected at the 189 again, and I'm surprised it didn't go back down to the 178, to be honest. But it's getting closer and closer to the resistance and not really going too much lower. So it's actually holding some kind of relative strength after being destroyed over the past month or so. Really, 189.33 has got to start to break above that before any kind of momentum to the upside can begin. So that'll be the focus for IWM today. But if not today, then next week and the week after. So patience is always the name of the game. And I can jump into Bitcoin too. So Bitcoin is developing pretty nicely. So I was expecting that back test of the 83,558. We got that yesterday because every single weekly candle since this big one back in February 24th has touched that fib. So it would just make sense for this weekly candle to also go back down there and back test it again. But it's holding. So that's a fantastic development. And if that continues to hold, then perhaps this weekend when there's no stock market or whatever, we can maybe even see it try to press up against resistance here in the
I'll just
87,
see.
88, or maybe even like the 91. We possibly could get some nice developments going because you can't put tariffs on Bitcoin. So I think this could be kind of considered like a safe haven, and we're seeing that with a lot of like uh, Bitcoin related stocks too. Like MSTR is holding up very, very well as well. So
Yep, yep, indeed. Yeah, Jerome Powell was came out really hawkish yesterday, and some people were positing on X. I saw like, oh, it's like a he knows his career's over, so he doesn't care. Career-ending speech where he just like they said he was like the most candid he's ever been, instead of talking through both sides of his mouth. I've got my VIX chart up here. I just wanted to show people what I was showing Matt this morning. Not all price gaps above get filled, but we do have this weekend price gap from Friday to this Monday down. And on the 4-hour chart, this moving average 75 has been acting as support for the fear in the VIX. We're kind of between extreme fear and fear, I'd categorize it as. With this Ichimoku cloud up here, the VIX always wants to, over time, just come back towards, the lowest number possible. But it just looks like with this kind of oscillation, it wouldn't be completely impossible to see like a wick come up into this area and then back down again. So, look for the VIX to possibly do something like this. And I was just saying to Matt that Tuesday, April 22nd, is Tesla's earnings. So there's just today, Monday, Tuesday session, and then Tuesday aftermarket close is the Tesla earnings. If the VIX does kind of do this, maybe Tesla price will drop into earnings release and then maybe we'll see a big move up, or some kind of move up and out of a lower price. So here's Tesla. Today's max pain is. Oh, why did I say today? It was yesterday. Today's max pain is 245. Actually, I gotta double check that. I'll double check in a second and report it back to you. But yeah, the weekly pivots right here, 248. I think 250. This is the wrong. Here we go, 250 right here. Yeah, yesterday was 250. So I think price is going to end up right around here, plus or minus a penny for today. And who knows? Like, it keeps making this. In fact, this is not even a setup like this anymore. I've got to get rid of this. Actually, I can leave that there, but just move it down. This is a higher low right here. Unlock. Here we go. Yeah, this actually goes right to there now. So let's see. I don't know. Does it just keep going down into Tuesday, or it goes up a little bit on Monday and then into Tuesday? I know I'm rambling. I'll keep you guys updated as I see Tesla moving, but I'm kind of looking for price to. Oh wait, this is earnings day right here. I'm looking for price to kind of move, maybe down ahead of earnings and up afterwards is what I'm looking for so far. Yeah, that's it. Let's do the requests.
Yeah,
Let me just do Kalidi real quick
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
I see that, and it's one I'm watching as well. I've got a bunch of money in this, and I'm just waiting for it to come back because it really got punished with the market correction all the way down to 35 cents. Now we're back to 47 cents. I'm basically just looking for an ABC retrace here. So from the all-time 90, no, actually, I'm not even looking at that one. I'm just looking at the smaller retrace right here. So from this 100% wick up here, 61.8% would be 1051 now, not 1055. Because we made a slightly lower here. So I'm looking for like 382,236, so 663, 423. A move to 423 would be pretty nice actually from where we are now. But that's what I'm looking for. The market's even got a sell order block between 270 and 389. So I'm just watching for this. It's got messed up here, but ABC retrace up. And Ichimoku Cloud on the weekly, it wants at least over $1.50 here, $1.70. All right, Matt, you pick one, and I'm going to look up something on Tesla here.
Yeah, I'll do HEMS, but first I wanted to just show Tesla myself, and
Oh, yeah.
we can see. Just I posted this chart yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, it's holding perfectly, and then so many negative comments came out on it, like, oh no, it's gonna collapse, it's terrible, it's horrible, like, oh yeah, this is gonna break down, and it's a week, not a week, just a few days before earnings, a few trading days, right? So next Tuesday is earnings, and it's still in the same zone, and kind of the intersection of the angle and the arc is happening in within the next couple of weeks. So I think it's more poised to make a move to the upside than it is to the downside. So I don't know. I see people like they want 210. I don't know if that'll happen, right? It had an opportunity multiple times to get down to 210. It still did not do that. So I think it is just going to continue to respect this symmetry here for Tesla, and nothing really has changed. And even pre-market, it's actually it's actually exactly on the angle pre-market. So this is something that people freak out about all the time, but so far I just look at the charts, I let the chart tell me what's really going on, and so far there's no need to panic with this situation. But as far as HEMS goes, same range, right? Same range as it has been for the past 4 weeks. Your resistance 31.57, your support is right there around 25.40. Sure, it can go a little bit below because every single candle for the past 2 weeks, or both these candles, I should say, for the past 2 weeks has wicked below that level to get some of that liquidity below. So we're in the same zone as before, and we can see that potentially this is like a double bottom from January, right? January it did go back in that same range too, and right now we're not breaking lower. So HIMS, despite the news out there, I guess with Lilly being like another competitor, we heard that narrative before. We heard it with
Oh yeah,
Amazon the
right,
last time
right.
Amazon, where was it? It was like in like 34 or something, and then it tanks back down to 25. It was the same situation. So I don't really care about the narratives. I think what we're seeing is just building a foundation on top of this previous all-time high here back in June of 2024, just kind of building a base around there. And I believe it is a good opportunity for price to finally go higher, probably in the weeks to come. So I'm not too concerned with HEMS at these levels.
Yeah, and you don't have to even show my chart, but I'm looking for 36.58 for the 236 resistance, and then at least $45.27 for the 38.2% fib. So that's what I'm looking for above here, which is pretty nice because that's like another, just to the 23.6 fib is 40. It's like 50% higher than it is right now. I do want to say that Tesla, I looked it up, and max pain today is now 245, not 250. 245 is max pain for Tesla today.
All right. Let's I got ATYR right here ready for that request, and I do have a fib here that I just wanted to point out that it is 280, right? 280, it got kind of saved and reclaimed as support last week, and it's still maintaining that. So I think above all, just watch these fibs the most because they have been pretty accurate on the way down, right? Stopping at levels on the way down and stopping at levels on the way up. So now after this 236 was broken, it flipped that 280, 382 back to support. So I think this is kind of ready to maybe make its journey back to at least the 50%, which was a big rejection in 2022 and was kind of a rejection back recently in March. So I think we can see price probably gravitate back there as long as 280 continues to hold.
Yeah, and just on my chart, on the weekly chart, that ATYR, it got rejected right at the 23.6 fib extension. So 315 is where it couldn't get over yet, but once it does get over it, it should go to at least the 367. And if it tests back to the 315, $3.15, then it's going to go to this $6.73. So I would look for that that move right there. So 382, 236, 1236, back to 764, and then 2236. So, and you can see it's got sell order block waiting up here between the 100% and 123.6% fib. It's interesting that these blocks always show up right about where my fibs do. Okay. What else do we have? Oh, I could do, let's see, TSLL. TSLL keeps getting these slightly lower lows, messing up with my setups. You know, it's no secret that basically ever since this correction, even since what I should have identified as the peak, you basically just, every pop gets sold off really fast. So every time you see it run up a good ways, everyone's probably going to be selling it off, and it's going to spend more time in the support zone, very little time testing resistance, and then getting rejected, coming back down to the support zone again. That being said, now look for 811 as resistance for TSLL, but it should get to at least the 38.2% fib at $8.68. If it does that and comes back to 811, then after that, we can look for 1202. And as usual, if it gets higher than this 38.2%, it has to come, it can go 50%, 236, 61.8, 236. If it gets to the 76.4% fib, that's when I move it up to the 382. And I could even do a 50%. But for now, let's just look for getting over $8.11 to $8.68 next for TSLO. And then AMD hasn't really changed. Right, it's all, yeah, it's the same low here. So my wave one, wave two haven't changed for AMD. You know, just to get to the 23.6 fib extension from where price is right now is almost 31% higher, and it should get to at least 141.98 or $142 next. Once it gets past that 236 extension. Let's see. All right, Matt, I see an Oscar
Yeah.
and SoFi request for you.
I'll jump on there. And yeah, my AMD chart, basically, I'm watching the bottom of the cloud on the monthly chart. I'm just watching the monthly chart on this one because I want this monthly candle to close back inside or above the cloud. So right now, that bottom of the cloud is around 90, maybe 90.7. So it's around there. And there's still 13 more trading days, or 13 more days, I should say, in the month. And we can see that it could easily reclaim that. So I'm not too concerned about AMD right now. I'm just watching that monthly cloud. But for SoFi and Oscars, SoFi is right here on the monthly chart, is trying to hold the monthly cloud. This green line here is the leading span A. It's really trying to stay above it, and I think it can. At least maybe not this month, but next month I think it'll be down because the bottom of that monthly cloud is around 1046, and then you got this 1095 right here that looks like it's trying to stay above as well. But mainly on the weekly chart, we came back up to the 45-degree angle, and we got rejected by it, and it came back down to retest this 875, which it held. So it's actually a nice little development. It kind of looks like it wants to stay above the cloud, the weekly cloud, and in the weeks to come, I think it can start to stay on top of the 1095 and then possibly break back above this 45 and go back to the 1360s up here. So it's looking like a good development now that it finally did this big backtest of the 875 down here, which was a big resistance in the past and a breakout zone. So backtesting the breakout zone is not a bad thing, right? It also closed this gap right here that people were talking about, this October 24 and like October 14th, October 7th gap right there. And yeah, so that gap's closed. I think it just needs a little bit more time before it can break above this 45-degree angle. But I'll be looking for a 1095 close maybe this week or next for a possible continuation higher. And for Oscar, OSCR, Oscar Health, yeah, it did break down below this cloud. It broke down below the 702. It broke down below all the indicators. I think even when we look at the moving averages, it broke below the 100. So it got weaker and weaker and weaker, and it is stabilizing on top of the 618, the 1225. But this downward sloping 200 is down there at 1069 that we got to pay attention to, because if this does start to lose this support, it might even go back to retest its breakout zone, which could be back here, right? This was the breakout zone, so, and a previous resistance zone. So be careful in this zone just to see if it actually wants to hold or not, because if this starts to break lower, if it starts to close weekly candles, below 1225, then it probably might just cut right through that 200 and go straight down to the 870s. So something to pay attention to. But so far it is holding the support, so can't really assume lower just yet. But 1225 is the target to maintain week over week over week. And if it does, then I think it can go back higher. But if any weekly candle starts to close below it, then that can be your sign to see that it really wants to go lower first. So that's Oscar.
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to do Rocket Lab and then you do Rocket Lab, or do you want to do Rocket Lab?
No, you go. If you have it ready, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I got it ready. So Rocket Lab, from $14.20 to $21.39 is this minor wave I'm looking at right now. So this is a 1-2 instead of a large degree 1-2. And so I'd like to see it come up. Where did I put that? No, it's missing. So from this low, it got over the 236. It went almost to 50%. So here's sort of like let's say 50%, and then 11.4. It went higher than the 382 and lower than the 236. So I think it wants to wind up to maybe the 764, or actually it would complete it the rest of the way to this 382. Sorry, I've got nested charts in here. There's a larger degree 1, 2, and this is the larger degree 2, 3, 6, 3, 8, 2. And so it's sort of arguing around this 236 is what it's doing. And so, yeah, I think it wants to go to 2533 next. Then it could check back to 2108. And if it does that, 32236, then the larger degree chart would take it up to $50. So Rocket Lab's looking pretty good here. You know, if you wanted to put a stop loss, I'd put it under $18.66. But otherwise, this should hold, and yeah, look for 2533 next overall. Once it just gets over this $21, and that's from where prices right now, about 25% higher to get to 2533.
Yeah.
And then, again, then they wanted to do Rocket Lab
Yeah,
as well.
I'll look at Rocket Lab. So yeah, basically 2134. That was the 2021 high back in the past, and it kind of lost that as a support back in February. And now we have a lot of confluence of resistance here. You got the arc, you got the previous high, you got the baseline conversion line that keeps getting rejected week over week. So I just see it stuck. I see it stuck in between a range, and I see it stuck maybe in the 2122. Maybe it could even come back down and touch the cloud sooner, or around the 1730s or so. But I think it could do something like that. It already basically went down to the 50-week moving average. It didn't really touch it, which is interesting. So could it just do a quick liquidity grab down there? Maybe, but I think it does want to break this resistance eventually, but it's probably going to take some weeks, if not a little bit longer, to do that. So I think it's just going to be range bound for a while until it can actually clear this arc and this 2134. And then once that happens, then it can get to the 27, 28, maybe even the $30 range again. So this is another patience thing for Rocket Lab after getting rejected at that blue level. And I think I mentioned that on the show probably, that once it got there, to be cautious because it's probably going to get rejected. And sure enough, it did. It got rejected. So we can just see price range bound in the meantime.
Yeah, it's got a little double wick right over 2036. Maybe I'll pull up stakes on my Rocket Lab and just put some alerts on it and watch it, but not sit in it anymore. Okay, are we? Well, yeah. How about you? Do you want to do Nvidia next?
Yeah, we can take a look at Nvidia. So Nvidia was not a surprise to me at all for what had happened, because it hit the conversion line last week, and this week it did try to get back up there again, and so it came back down. So how far did it come down? Well, the daily chart just told that story. Go to the daily chart here, and it just went down to the daily conversion line, and it hit that perfectly as support. So it was a breakout of the conversion on the baseline, back testing it, and now we did a double back test of that conversion line. So I think it has a good chance of holding that 100 level right now. And right now we're just getting stuck a little bit under the baseline, or right around there. So there is a daily gap up there too that it could close again, and that's around 110. So I think we could probably see price maybe continue back up towards the resistance. But ultimately, the weekly chart was telling the story the whole time, and I've been telling you guys it's just in a big range. And even if it wanted to, it probably could go in the weeks to come back down to the bottom of the cloud again. Maybe that's like 97 or something. So this is just probably going to be range bound for some time, maybe until it makes a decision. If it wants to break resistance, great, it'll break. If it doesn't, then I will go back and retest maybe the 80s again. So we'll see. But this is just probably going to be stuck in this cloud for some weeks, and there's not going to be any excitement. And in my opinion, there's probably better opportunities out there, because this might just be stuck, right? Stuck.
Yeah, and they're all, messing around with China and chips, and you showed us the semiconductor a while ago and just said it looked like it was going to be kind of sad for a while.
Yeah, Yeah, I can show that real quick too. The SMH. Yeah, the SMH is stuck too. So look at that. It's in between the 1.414 and the 190. Look at that. Perfect range between those two fibs and that 190 hit yesterday. So I don't see it breaking this resistance anytime soon, and I don't know if it's ready to break this support. So if the SMH is going to be range bound, then probably Nvidia, everything else is going to be range bound as well. So the where you want to be in the market is probably crypto related stuff. That is probably where you want to be because you can't put tariffs on that, and Bitcoin is outperforming right now, so pay attention to that.
That being said, I am still in MSTX. I've been trading. I took a loss on the position that I last had, pulled up stakes and bought back in again lower. Still bought it a little too soon, but let's see. Yeah, MSTX. I'm watching for it to. Let's see, is this a retracement? No, that's an extension. From where price is right now, just to the 23.6 fib extension, it's a dramatic 133% higher. So the cost benefit is still, or so the risk reward is still really good for MSTX and MicroStrategy itself. So that's where I'm at. And Bitcoin takes off. These two are going to take off as well. Let's see, CRV.
That's a crypto. I'll jump on that
crypto.
one. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So CRV actually looks really good again. So 53 cents, 54 cents got reclaimed after touching the bottom of the cloud. So this did a perfect, it did things perfectly, right? It shot straight up to the 50% level, got rejected, straight back down to the bottom of the cloud. You could not ask for something more textbook than that. And now it's even back above the 0.236. So this is looking like it kind of wants to flip this whole zone back to a support and go towards the resistance above in the 70s. And the next big resistance is going to be that 382 again, 87 cents. So I think it can be range bound for some weeks, but try to get above the baseline next, 77, and then the 382 fib up there at 87. So yeah, this finally found its higher low down here back in March, and now I think it's ready to continue its journey higher.
Yep. I pulled up the Soxel chart. That's the 3X semiconductor ETF.
Yeah,
it almost looks like a cyclical stock now. It just doesn't make sense. But basically, it looks like this is the weekly chart, and it looks like it's reached the bottom extreme. I don't know how long it's going to spend down here. Usually, that was like half a year right here, 9 months right there. So same thing. Soxel could be stuck down here into September or so. But it's going to want to get over this 236 to the 382 at least. So maybe 31.75, 22.33, and then $47 for the C wave up. Unless it does 236, 11.4, and still probably like a 6.84 or even a 50%. I mean, yeah, you're on the right end of the extreme, but just since it's a daily ETF, I don't know. You might want to watch some other parts of the semiconductor market, and then when activity picks up, then jump into Soxel. Wow, did we do everything?
Yeah, I think so. Do you have any final thoughts out there?
Wait, did we skip? What's BTDR?
Oh, BitDeer, yeah. Yeah, I got a BitDeer chart.
Oh, BitDeer.
Yeah. I knew we forgot one of them. Yeah, let's go to BitDeer here. So I've been talking about this one a lot on my Patreon and how it just kept on cutting through levels, right? Ever since it got rejected at the 1.272 fib here, it just kept breaking support. And now, more recently, it even broke back below this cloud and the 618. So it doesn't really have any momentum to the upside. But what it does have is it's a series of higher highs and higher lows from the bottom, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Like it's just a series of higher highs, higher lows. So the market structure from back in 2023 is still okay. still intact, but it doesn't mean that it's not gonna break out, right? It could mean that it wants to go down to the 639 down here first, maybe that 50% level, and retest this big zone before trying to go higher. So it's just a very volatile name, and I could see it still exploding higher in the future, but it might need to go lower first before. So let's watch this 618, 779. If it reclaims that, great. It can recover sooner. But if not, then we might see a little bit more pressure. But a lot of things, a lot of miners have been severely punished recently. So I think a lot of them could see some positive catalyst to the upside sooner than later, especially if Bitcoin takes off. Because yeah, my thoughts on a lot of the miners is this. Like, you can just look at a chart like CLSK, right? You can see it's getting super extended from like the cloud, from all of the stuff from the downside. And whenever things get super extended from either direction, you see a correction, right? From here, it got super extended. It got super extended from the upside, right? And then a massive correction back through the cloud. And now we're getting the opposite reaction, which also held this previous low back in January 2024. So it's kind of like a double bottom back here, and it's the 618. So my thoughts are a lot of charts look like CLSK, right? They had a big breakout and now a super big correction, and now a lot of them are getting overextended to the downside. So I think we're due for a pretty significant bounce in the miners. That's probably going to surprise each other. And I was telling Tracker this morning, they're basically so bad that they look good.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Well, I think that's a great final thought right there. I don't have anything else to add. I'll keep you guys updated on what I think is happening with Tesla today, Monday, and Tuesday ahead of earnings.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll see you guys Monday. Have a happy Easter if you celebrate. Yeah.
Yeah, and Passover. Happy Passover.
Yeah. Passover too.
Hmm. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you
All right.
soon.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Thanks, Matt.